Good morning, church. This is Luke, checking in from work. Lunch break, of course, not cheating any time. Just wanted to say hey and go over John chapter 9. Happy to do it. Before I dive in, I want to say this. I know with all of this going on that some of you, like me, are at work, not able to be home with your family, maybe having to do schoolwork with the kids in the evenings. It is tough. It has been rough, and we've got weeks ahead. Hang in there. Be tough. Keep reading through John. Think of all the great things that we've read about already, all of the awesome things that Jesus does, and how he works in our lives today, and that we can count on him and trust him. That he's got this, that he's in charge and he's in control. Let's dive into John 9. Starts off where Jesus and his disciples are walking along, and you would think at this point that they would have learned a little bit more about Jesus, and it's easy for us to judge them and be like, wow, why do they still not understand things? But if we've read our Bible and we've been in church, there's certain things we don't understand yet either. So they're walking around and they find this blind guy, and they ask Jesus, they say, what sin has this man committed, or his family, that has left him blind? And I don't know about you, but that makes me mad. It makes me go, how could they think that this man's blind just because of a sin in his life or his family that he's committed? I just don't understand how they could ask that question. What we see on social media, we share it, as does the next person. And so there's oftentimes things out there that are passed around and people are led to believe that aren't true. So before we judge them, we kind of have to take a step back and go, okay, how quick am I to listen to everything that I hear as well? That's what they've been taught. They've been taught that these physical ailments are something from people's past, from sin. But Jesus' answer is amazing. He says, no, guys, you've got it all wrong. This ailment exists to this person so that I can be glorified through healing. We could honestly stop right there, but we really only covered the first 3 verses. I think about, the times in my life where I'm not afflicted with blindness, but something bad happens, and I go, God, why did you allow this to happen? What did I do to deserve this? Or I not necessarily blame God, but I question, what did I do? I ask myself the question, what did I do that my life is just a mess right now? Or what did I do that made this situation happen? And sometimes we do things that are our own fault, and sometimes it's just kind of life. And if we can steer a crisis into an opportunity, we will be very victorious. And God will get the glory for it. Part 2, chapter 9, verse 6. Here we go. So Jesus spits in the dirt, and he rubs this on the guy's eyes and tells him to go to a pool and wash it off, and he'll be healed. So he does. And it's just weird because, even if I'm driving along, the GPS tells me, to go somewhere different than what I know. I know better than some computer. I question it, but he just, out of faith, believed and trusted God, and went and did that. So he gets back home. He gets to his neighbors, and they're like, hey, isn't that the blind guy? And he's like, yeah, it's me. And they're like, I don't know. I think it might look like him, but I'm not really sure that that's him. And he says, yes, it's me. So they take him into the religious leaders, the Pharisees, and they say, who is this that did this to you? And he's like, I don't know. He just did it. I don't know where he is, but this is what happened. He put this mud on my eyes, told me to wash it off, and I'd be healed. So they ask him again and again. They ask his parents. They say, are you sure this is your son? They're like, yeah. I mean, we know who our son is. This is him. But we don't want any trouble. and they basically say he's of age, he can answer for himself, because they think that this healing and this work that was done on the Sabbath day, the rest day, is going to get them in some sort of trouble. And so they leave it to their son to answer basically for himself, which he says, I don't know who did this. I don't know where he is, but surely he's a prophet, he's a teacher, he is whomever. So as we continue down through John chapter 9, we get to the point where Jesus comes back to see the man, right? Jesus comes to the man and he says, I'm the one that healed you. Do you remember me? Do you remember my voice? Obviously, he didn't see him because he was blind. But he says, I am the one that healed you. I am the one that can remove your blindness. And he says, I can also remove a spiritual blindness from your life. If you will trust in me and follow me, that is what your future is now. I think when we talk about a spiritual blindness, there's really two parts. The first of that is that of salvation of itself. You're completely blind to what it means to have God working in your life. You know, you may see evidence of God working in other people's lives, but there's a blindness if you have never accepted Jesus and seen those things firsthand and felt the Holy Spirit working in your life. There's a spiritual blindness there that you are just not going to understand what is there. I think there's a second side to spiritual blindness as well, which this study through John helps us kind of see, and that's just kind of an uneducated blindness where we don't remind ourselves by reading the Bible of what God has done in all of these people's lives in history, and all the promises that he makes to us and what he can do in our lives. And I kind of consider that a second spiritual blindness, that we don't yearn and grow more than what we should. If you're taking some notes, write this down, these two things. Number one, do we blame God or ourselves when things happen, or do we give them to God as an opportunity to work? Number two, do we seek after God through his word, through songs, through prayers? Do we challenge ourselves to find new ways to learn? Guys, that's what I got out of chapter 9. I hope that if you got something else, leave it down in the comments. Appreciate you guys doing this journey and taking the time out of your day to listen to me. But I've got to get back to work. I'll see you soon.